Players Forum is your source for informative basketball talk about mentorship, education, and community. The ball is in your court. This is your Players Forum.
What up, world? I'm Coach Mike.
And I'm Agent T, and you're now tuned in to episode 10 of the Players Forum.
Absolutely.
Did you miss us?
Did you miss me?
Did you miss me? We were on a nice little vacation there. You know, Coach Mike is in high demand, so we got to, when he gets calls, we got to make moves and make adjustments,
Look at you. Look at you. Look at you.
Hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving.
Great holiday. I think we did. We enjoyed ourselves, right?
Yeah, scratch that. Let me say that again. I hope everyone had a great thankful gathering day. That's my new, holiday.
Yeah, thankful gathering.
Thankful gathering day.
Yes, absolutely.
So what's been up? Let's let the people know what, we've been up to.
Grinding, grinding. I hope everyone is still taking advantage of these unfortunate times of COVID, and just figuring out more ways to be creative with your time.
Yeah.
Idle time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Got a new president, things getting ready to shift again. So,
Yep.
We are constantly living in the unknown,
Yeah.
Especially in sports,
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Especially in sports.
It's been insane. It's been insane.
Yeah. Oh, how can we forget the Lakers?
Yes, sir.
Champions.
You know it. We brought it back to the city.
Yes, sir.
Yep. The second home for me in LA.
Right on.
So proud of the Lakers for getting that done. Shout out to LeBron and the cast for getting that done.
Yes,
AD.
sir. Yes, sir.
Yes.
So what else been going on? We getting Born Creative, my lifestyle brand, getting ready to drop.
Absolutely.
Super excited about that. Been working real hard on that.
Yeah, I think I wore Born Creative sweatshirt on the show.
There we go. Shameless plug, we got to do that. Great Gain Athletics, we gearing up for the new year. Hopefully everything will kind of fall into place.
Yes.
For the summer. Yeah, that's about it. That's about all we gonna share, right?
Yeah.
That's about all we gonna share. But today's topic, we're doing another personal story, personal journey, Coach Mike's memoirs, right?
Somewhat, but I think it's one of those things for me that I would say the elephant in the room.
Okay, this is still an episode of Coach Mike Memoirs.
Yeah.
And why I feel like you're so far back.
I think we good.
I feel like I'm looking over my shoulder. Let me scoot back just a little bit, y'all. Bear with me. Yeah, because this about to get real interesting.
I hope not.
Yes.
Okay. Well, yeah.
So we were watching some old film, old college film.
Ooh.
Yeah, the other night, making a few, fall cleanup, moving things around a bit.
Yeah.
And came across some old college footage and stuff.
A whole bunch of old stuff.
Yeah.
A whole bunch of old stuff. So it's something that I know I've been wanting to talk about for a while because I know that we have broken down basically bits and pieces of parts of my journey,
right?
International play and how it was and how the business aspect of it works and all this stuff. But a lot of like my peers who really don't know me that well outside of just playing the game,
right,
may think I'm the craziest man in the world off the floor.
Yeah, I mean. Sometimes
right,
I've been the fly on the wall and heard a few things that were kind of questionable, but again you have this circle and then you have this circle,
the masses, as they say,
right? And fans too. They gain the perception based off of what they see out there on the court without actually getting to know the person. And again, you have an interesting experience, and what we've learned so far just interviewing some of your friends is that they all kind of have similar journeys, similar steps, but yours is very interesting. And we're gonna title this one, we're calling this what?
This is called College Exposed My Lack of Team Experience.
College exposed your lack of team experience. And why don't you go unpack that That's the new word right now.
Yeah,
let's
unpacking what my team experience is, and that's all of the little things that I felt that I did not pick up as a young man from not playing the game.
Right.
So that's being able to keep the biggest elephant in the room is my emotions intact. Learning how to be a great teammate. Those were like some of my toughest flaws coming up, and then a little bit times of my professional career as well. So those are the things that I would love to unpack today about like how perception can be reality. But for me, it's kind of not like that.
Right.
Unless you got to know me outside of the floor.
Right.
So if you see this warrior beast, sometimes out of control dude, you're like, yo, what the hell is wrong with him?
Right. And so and you're saying that was the perception, like,
absolutely.
I mean, and Ryan used that word, beast,
beast mode.
Beast mode, beast on the court.
Yeah.
And so I guess with that, it was always some type of negative
it was a negative content behind that.
Undertone.
Yeah.
And how do you feel like it affected you later on, and then we can jump back to college and everything.
I mean, later on is what?
As far as like, how do you think the perception, did it kind of force you to kind of look at yourself like, okay, this is what people are saying. I'm out there, what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that comes from like, when you do get close to certain teammates or just friends, that you may not play with and I may not have played with, that just hang out with me outside of the floor. And it's just like, you get this mild-mannered dude chilling, but then on the floor, it's like a switch hits. And you can see that switch.
Right.
And then that switch becomes where if you're involved in that switch, then you just coming along with it.
Right. You're going along for the ride. Not really understanding where you're going, but...
Right, and how that clicks and where it comes from.
Right, right.
Yeah, so I would love to talk about how that, and, that mentality, that's basically what it is for me.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So let's bring it back a little bit. Coming out of college, again, we've talked about this before. You had 1 year in college. In high school, sorry. Yeah, 1 year in high school.
Yep.
And then you were kind of shipped out here to the West Coast.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about that transition, getting from there to out here.
Fast.
Okay.
Too fast.
Okay.
Fast enough where I look up, school was over with. I went, my first trip outside of the city of Chicago to play basketball was actually in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Oh,
at the Mullins camp.
Okay.
So that was the first time I ever did anything from my high school, outside of my high school, was there. My high school coach had connections with Compton Magic, which is dope. Shout out to E10 and that organization. But I played like a weekend or whatever it was with that team. And that was like the first piece of getting some kind of travel ball in me. Yeah. So that was before I got to California. So that was the first time I left.
Right. You had a taste of it then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, did that kind of encourage you or, kind of spark more of an interest to want to, explore basketball on another level?
No, I was scared shitless. I was scared as hell. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know if I was even good enough because I think it was like some type of big time camp. I had no business being at, but it's just politics and connections and being able to slide on. It wasn't like I just came in killing. I was on a team with a bunch of great players from California. So yeah, that's really what that was. That was a little taste of.
Right. So it scared you shitless, but you still came on and
played.
And played.
I did all right.
Yeah, you still got out here.
Yeah.
And then you got out here and you're in, where are you at?
Oh my God. The first time I made it to California, I was in Oxnard. Oxnard, California, which is like an hour away from the city.
Right.
Hour and a half, depending on traffic.
Right.
Yeah. So being out there, that was the first junior college that I was registered to go to. That was, presented to me and to my parents and said that was like the destination I was going to head to leaving California. Leaving Chicago to go to California.
Did you have a choice or was that just kind of like?
Nah, again, man, we're going to get into this because the biggest thing that really I wouldn't say hurt me, but information. I think that's why I'm so big on information to this day, is because at that time in my life, I had no clue what JUCO was, what Division 1, Division 2, D3, NAI. All that stuff was new to me. So I really just wasn't knowledgeable of it. I let my parents and my coach handle it, and I just went with it, you know. And I think that was one of those things that I should have been more in tune with what was going on and understand more about what I was about to take on.
Right.
So.
And a lot of times it's just like you just don't know better. You know.
Nah, I didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, this is all like I said. You got somebody that's kind of
right.
You in the passenger seat of this whole thing, and I trusted my coach, my high school coach, Glenn Hefferman. Shout out to him, man. If it wasn't for him, I know I wouldn't even be here right now. We're talking even on this, because he saw something in me that a lot of people saw, but for him to take the patience and the time to say, nah, you need to do this and buckle down and get it done, then, you know, that's why I was able to do what I did.
And so your first, few years or whatever, because you didn't stay at Oxnard, right?
No, man, Oxnard lasted about less than 120 days, just because I was an out-of-state student. So that came with fees. A lot of stuff I wasn't prepared to pay for and all that. So I ended up going back home after 4 months. It was rough though. Like, I mean, the great part of it is, I'm going to shout a lot of people out. Jeff Tyler, man, shout out to him, man. Jeff Tyler, he worked me out. He was the assistant coach. He worked me out every single morning at 7:00, every single morning. So that 4 months was the first time I ever had got like one-on-one group training type stuff before practice.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that was like new. That's what's going on in today's game.
Right,
but
of course.
Yeah, I was doing that 6, 7 in the morning every day with my roommate, Richard Moss, and another guy, I believe his name was Antoine. I can't remember Antoine's last name, but he was older than us. But I think he was one of those guys, if I'm not mistaken, was either just finishing like Florida State or something. So he was either going pro, it was something, but again, it was a cloud, man. It was just a dude that was in the gym every day with us.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you went back home after four months.
Yeah.
And then you stayed, or did you decide to? I mean, obviously he came
over.
back, but
it was over for a moment. I thought it was over. It was just like, all right, we did it. The high school high is down.
Right.
All right, I'm back in.
Back to reality.
I'm back home. You know, so that lasted a while. That lasted about 8 months, 7, 8 months. So I kind of went the whole year without playing the game.
Okay.
Not as I should have.
Right.
You know what I mean? As far as under whistle, college, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I ain't gonna ask you what you did with your time for that whole year. But
no, because we're gonna write that in the book, man. That's, you know, but yeah.
Off for a
very
whole year.
Interesting.
What was the deciding factor that made you come back to LA?
Oh, easy. That's a great question. When I went to the local junior college down the street from my house, I saw everybody from high school.
Oh, okay.
That was enough for me to say, nah, I don't want to do this.
Okay.
Because I knew, like, you know how something in you wants to change, something in you wants something different, and then I'd already left and saw it. I remember, you got to remember, I went to Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Right.
Then I went to California for a few months. Then to come back here was nothing against, like, the people I was around, but it was more like, man, I like that.
Right.
You know, I got to get back out there some kind of way.
Right.
So it's just like, I know I ain't going to be focused here. I got to go.
Right.
So that's what ended up happening.
And so when you came back, is that when you ended up at West LA?
No, I was almost there. We almost at West LA. So we get to LA Valley College.
LA Valley, right.
Yeah, we did LA Valley College for a while, but it was a bunch of struggles in that. That's something like I said, a lot of people know that story, but I'm gonna write that. I actually wrote that. But we'll just sum it up as I stayed in a 3-bedroom apartment with 14 guys from my city.
Right.
14 people from my city.
No.
We not finna get along, because it was like, you got 2 dudes, 3 dudes from this school, city champions. You got this guy from this school, my school, the school, you know, so it was like you got 4 or 5 guys in the conference that's all in. It was insane.
Yeah.
So you weren't going to be successful there.
Ooh, a lot of egos walking through that.
Oh my God.
I bet.
Man, fighting over, that's why I said that's a whole book in itself,
Right.
man, for real. From food, girls, clothes.
Right.
You know, oh man.
Surviving, man.
Yeah, for sure.
How did you survive? What kept your head on somewhat straight?
I mean, you couldn't I mean, we were literally like the Foreman. Remember the Foreman grill, right?
Oh,
remember
yeah.
the Foreman grill, but the XL Foreman grill.
Okay.
We had that in our bathroom.
In the bathroom.
In the bathroom. That's where we cooked certain foods.
Wow.
Cut our hair. Like, that's what I'm saying. This shit was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. And it was like you had to do that because
right.
you didn't want somebody in the house using it, or your food was going to get it was that bad. You know what I mean? So, but shout out to that experience.
Right.
You know, for real, for real.
What do you think? What would you say what was one thing that you learned through that experience, that short amount of time?
I think it was a negative experience enough for me to really, like, I think I lost a lot of trust in people at that time.
Okay.
Because I was so young and naive, and you think everybody is your friend at that age, and everybody at that time was trying to find themselves, you know, as basketball players, as young men, out of state.
Right.
You gotta imagine all these guys I know for sure had never been nowhere before. All of us.
Right.
You know, and then you send us out here to sunny California.
Right.
In the valley.
Right.
At that.
Yeah, y'all ain't even in the city.
Man, we was running. We still was running around like we was, you know.
Right.
So I say that's a chapter in itself, man.
Right.
Sure.
And so, okay, the experience was tough. You got through it. How did you get from there to West LA?
I met Julio Lopez, as we spoke about all throughout this podcast.
Yeah,
and
Julio,
our boy, who is our sound man now. How ironic is that? But SP.
Oh, right.
SP
right on,
was
right.
At West LA, and they were there the night that I met them in a game. So I just decided to go there, and it worked out.
Okay.
It worked out for the best for me. Yeah, it worked out for the best for me, for sure.
And then, okay, so you at West LA. I mean, walk us through it. What is the experience like? Because we want to get to the point where you're kind of breaking down what you meant by exposed your, lack of experience or
Okay, so West LA was a time where I got a chance to really like just get down and go, just put my head down and play. I'm a year and a half removed from high school, and I'm really just trying to find my way and see if I can get this done as far as playing. Again, still naive and blind to the fact where you know, for us guys, and I know a lot of dudes can relate to this, you kind of actively ignore the things that you really need to get done, your priorities. You actively ignore that stuff. So for me, I felt like that's what I was doing, and I was just on a train of just playing the game. So if whatever it was that was put in front of me that made me lock in on to just to play the game, I was gonna do that. Anything outside of that, I wasn't gonna give it no effort. And that's why a lot of guys don't get out of junior college, because that's the first time, when you leave high school, you got really true responsibility of getting yourself to class, just basically, developing that routine that you should have as a college student.
And you considered an adult now. So, I mean, not only you got the responsibility of going to school, but you have the responsibility of taking care of yourself.
And that's exactly what it ended up becoming for me. I'm 19, and I'm a grown man. Because I gotta go. I gotta fend for myself. I gotta work odd jobs during college. It was a lot of like unnecessary stress that I shouldn't have had at a young age in college. As a college kid, and I had to be a college man because I'm out of state.
Right. And so, how did that affect you at that point? Now coming to the realization, like, man, this is a lot. I'm basically out here by myself. I'm trying to, do good in college, not only as an athlete, but as a student, because I don't know what's next after this. There's like you really didn't have like a plan, because your whole upbringing, you didn't have a hoop dream. You wasn't thinking about like playing basketball. So now you have to kind of change your way of thinking and start thinking ahead. And
it's sad, man, thinking about it. I told my boy this not too long ago. I'll say this real quick, because from Chicago. So at guard, 6'6", from North Carolina, Michael Jordan. That's about as much as I knew about like North Carolina or like what that was.
Right.
I never like put two and two together as like that's UNC. That's a big deal. That's Duke.
Right.
It was at guard from North Carolina at guard, 6'6", Michael Jordan. That's all that was it.
And that's all.
Sad, but
Right.
it's a fact.
Right.
It's a fact.
So everything was just, pure surface entertainment,
It was.
nothing really invested into the game like that.
Right. So now unpacking this mentality that you're talking about comes from street ball. It comes from playing in driveways. It comes from playing outdoors every single day. That was one thing that I did as a child, as growing all the way up until I got a chance to play in high school. When I decided to play in high school, that mentality was everything. When you out there, it's aggressive. It's it's vulgar conversations going on. It's just a lot going on, and I think that's what made me tough. But then it also made me a bad teammate, because when you playing like that, you playing for self. You're not playing for the team. You out here trying to, get yourself off as a player, not back down from nobody.
Right.
Again, I was one of the young kids in the neighborhood, so I'm playing against, guys in the neighborhood that was older, and you got to be a certain way. You got to put it on to even be out there, to even get a chance to play.
Right.
So that was one of those things that I felt like hindered me later because of the subject that we're saying, as far as the lack of my experience. The lack of my experience came from when, instead of being outside playing, I should have been on somebody's travel team. I should have been able to be the coach that I am today, and being able to relate to somebody who's on that staff, or teach me the way and show me how I should act. And those are the things that I do with these kids now, where I see it early, and hey, we don't act like that, or hey, I shut it down quick, and talk to them and give them examples of how you should be as a basketball player.
Right.
So that's that train I missed out on big time.
Right.
As a youngster.
So in hindsight, but I mean, I get it. Your lack of experience, it changed your mentality. But there's a lot of guys out there, who were experiencing, and even to this day are still experiencing the same thing. It's like, but the way that it hindered you, it kind of like, I don't say black cloud, but you kind of, you had like a stigma around you, definitely. Because it wasn't just that you were experiencing some tough times and trying to survive and come from street ball. You were real aggressive and real, tough on that court. To sometimes it, would either scare people, distracting, intimidating, unteammate like, know. So when did you start to realize that, okay, what I'm doing out here is affecting, how I'm looked at as a player?
I mean, you had bits and pieces of it early on. I think a lot of it started after high school, because I was out of a comfort zone. Right. You got teammates that I grew up with that was on that team that can look at me or say something, or you're not just finna do the things that I was doing after that. Right. Because I had nobody that can keep me in check. You know what I mean? So that was part of it.
Was that because you had spent so much time, trying to play catch up? Everything was like a challenge to be better, to do better.
Yeah. Okay. It really was. It really was. Again, as I stated before, it was a big challenge for me trying to mesh in after all those years missed, and try to find a way and be productive and shine in a way, and to be able to pull it off to an extent. I mean, that was pretty good at that time. Yeah.
And so we were talking about when did you start to notice?
So bits and pieces of that happened after college, after high school. My biggest, I think, was when I played at West LA. When I played at West LA, I was coached so well by Coach Ernie Carr. I needed a fresh start. I needed a new voice at that time. And then we had a mesh of good dudes on that team that came from different places too, that had little chips on their shoulder. But everybody was a little familiar with me already, being at LA Valley the year before, and so I had a lot to prove. You know, I had a lot to prove that if I'm gonna leave a situation, that I'm gonna make the next one the best one.
Right.
You know, and at times I brought that same aggressive mentality that I left to that team. You know, in a negative way and in a positive way at times too, because there was times we needed to be tough, and I felt like I brought that along with my point guard too. My point guard Joe was tough like that as well. So that was like the first time I saw it. But once I left West LA, that's when it got rough for me, because I left out of state again. You know, this time I'm headed to Chico, Hawaii and Chico. So those situations was probably like the lowest I think I've ever felt in my lifetime. In my life, not my lifetime, but in my life, it was just very dark. This is what I tell guys a lot about doing your research, man. Don't be a naive basketball player, because if I would have done my research, I think things would have been a little different. But I was just so overwhelmed, and being in LA and all the things that I had been going through off the court with trying to keep a roof over my head, working jobs, trying to come in and play. Because at that time in West LA, I would play games and then finish the game, and then go do security in Hollywood just to make sure I had a check. So all of that stuff going on, it was just a lot for a young man. I was 20 years old. I wasn't even 21, working in the club. Right. But you know, it is what it is. You know, there's no excuse for it. But that's where I feel like a lot of that stuff really truly affected me. Really truly affected me, and I passed that on to my teammates.
Right. And then the trust was a big issue. There was a big trust factor. Yeah. Either, you know, gaining and losing trust with people, not sure who you can trust at this point, because you don't know, again, who has your best interest at heart. Who were some of the people that you had given your trust to, and, you know, they supported you and they've always kind of been in your corner? I know definitely you can say Coach Carr.
Yeah, Coach Carr was big for me, because again, at the time I needed a new voice, man, and he just knew and said the right things to all of us, you know, not just me, but to all of us. And it's just, you have an individual that just has it. He just knows what to say, what to do. And then the person that he is, you just didn't want to let down. Right. You know what I mean? You didn't want to let a guy like that down, just because he just, you know, he gave everything that he could give to us. And I mean, we returned the favor. You know what I mean? We won a conference championship. That's why I keep this thing up here all the time, because I'm so proud of this. And this is so crazy where my mom, I mean, this is for the listeners on our set. If you watch on YouTube, I always kept this brown plaque up here. And this brown plaque is my MVP trophy from 2006 Western State Conference. And my mom just mailed this back to me after all them years, like a few months ago, you know, since we started the podcast. As you can see how old it is. But this is 2.5 years removed from high school, first time really playing organized ball, and I became
first accomplishment.
It was kind of cool. So I always keep that close. And that's just what he was, man. He was just like that for us. And that's why Coach Carr is somebody that we still talk to every single day. I still help out with the high school that he's at.
And he's actually on our board.
He's on our board for Great Game. So, yeah.
So when let's get into the struggle or the dark moments when you know, your persona as a player was kind of changing, not for the better but for the worse. The talent wise, it was, you know, you were excelling, you were getting better and better, but you know, mentally or emotionally, things were not kind of working in your favor.
Yeah, so once you get a stigma like that, man, it's hard to shake. So going into Chico State, that stigma was already on me. So it just felt like at that time I could sneeze and there was going to be an issue, because they already felt like the issue was going to come. So it was a new environment. You know, it's very hard for me to go into that environment and trust the situation right away, because I'm on edge about every little thing as well. And when I got there, I just didn't fit in. And then I think at that time, the change of the coaching, I think, was coming before I got there, you know. So there was a lot of people that was in line at that time to try to get that position, and they were all out to impress that coach or impress the school to be considered.
Now,
so,
not to cut you off, but let's backtrack a little bit. Was it Hilo first, and then
it was Hilo first?
And
yes.
Then...
Yeah, so Hilo is where I got that stigma, right?
Okay.
You're right, absolutely. So
Okay.
I transferred so when I left West LA, I went to Hawaii Hilo. And again, this is where digging up information, looking
Your
up
past,
information. No, not even, because at that time it was nothing there. It was more of my fault of not really, again, taking the proper steps to do my research. This is where mentorship kicks in at. This is where I needed a big brother. This is where I needed somebody in my corner outside of my coach. Of course, my coach was there, but at that time, I don't think anybody knew how to get us out to get to the next level as far as universities. And at that time, man, I just blindly picked that school because as I was just saying this to my boy the other night, you know, what my outlook of college was I knew I was a skinny guy, so getting into the university, they gonna pump me up with weights. I'm gonna be on this strict program. I'm gonna get strong, you know, and that was like the biggest insecurity for me at that time was like I wanted to be stronger. You know, I was good, I was all these other things, but I wasn't strong. And once I got to that school, I mean, he gave me any story that he'd probably give any kid to get them to sign there. You know, it's Hawaii.
Right.
You know, and I asked to visit, wasn't gonna happen. You know, it's Hawaii. They're not gonna take a chance and give you a ticket and then you don't come. You don't sign.
Right.
So I took
free
it.
trip.
I took it when I shouldn't have, and I did. And I got there a week and a half late. I don't even know why, but I was there. I wasn't there when the team got there. So building up this story, those guys had already had their, you know, they built the bond already. So then you get this kid that comes in, it's me, and I'm a firecracker. Not personality wise, but game. Like they come in like, yo, who's this? Like, okay, I thought we was straight already, you know. So I'm unhappy outside of that, you know, to keep it real. Like when I get there, it's not what he sold me. It's not what I thought it was gonna be as far as what I had in my mind. And I was miserable every single day there. Every single day. I just did not like it. And imagine you're in Hawaii. You're in the water, but
you would think
I'm from Chicago. I'm good. I don't need the water. I wasn't in tune with the beach, and I wasn't in California long enough to enjoy and knew what the beach was about because it was always, you know, apartment, work, you know, so,
basketball, school.
So I hated that place. I played as much as I could until I just lost it. I had a fight with a teammate, and that was it. That was all she wrote, man. And you know, I was able to stay. I finished and did what I was supposed to do in the class, and then that's when I transferred to Chico State.
Okay.
And that's when it just didn't get better.
Right.
It got worse.
Right.
And I think again, like I said, the stigma, but also when you're a repeat offender, it don't take much. So
the stigma, just to kind of make sure everybody's understanding this, was that you were a hothead on the court.
Hothead, emotional wreck at times.
Right.
Yes.
A hothead, emotional wreck at times. Damn.
Yeah. I get it. I get it. But I never missed a beat of being on somebody's team.
Right.
Never.
Yeah, you were always in high demand.
Yeah, it was never that bad. It was just at times that it could be unpredictable. It could be why. And then again, that didn't happen as much at West LA because then again, I do put a little bit of that on your leadership too. And, you know, that leader at that time was able to handle that, and he understood us inner city kids like that.
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah. That's what I was gonna say. He had a better understanding because I'm sure you weren't the first that came through there that you know was special in that sense. But you know, you get on to Chico. Yeah. And here's a whole new environment, as you were saying before.
Not my cup of tea again. Right. Party school, red cups all over the place. I'm an in the house dude as I am now today. Still. So that didn't work because that's bonding with your teammates when you don't do house parties.
Right.
Again, I feel like, this is part of growing up too fast. Being in LA, I left LA working at the biggest nightclubs.
Right.
So going to a house party was like, nah, we don't do those.
Right.
I'm too bougie for that.
Right.
I'm too cool. I'm too older walking for that.
Right.
You know, so that hurt because you don't get to hang out with your teammates as
right.
much. You know, I'm hanging out with dudes who don't even play basketball on the team. They just students. You know?
Right.
You know, but yeah, so that going into that year again was just a lot of hiccups. It was just a lot of, you know, emotional stuff, man, with us all. But just speaking for me specifically, to just never got comfortable, man. You know, you just couldn't get comfortable. You know, and I would challenge teammates, you know, and it would hurt. It would hurt our team. It would hurt certain moments.
Right. And it sounds like you had like a bit of a chip on your shoulder.
Yeah.
You know, but not really a real source someone, you know, did some messed up, you know, shit, and then it was like, oh man, I can't trust nobody, or it was just a number of different experiences where, especially you're thinking in a team setting or a part of your team, that these are people you can trust, that's gonna have your back because this is a team. But then you learn that, you know, people are backstab. It don't matter if you're on a basketball team or not, even though that's what it's supposed to stand for, camaraderie and all of that. You know, people are gonna be who they are, you know, and being that was your first experience in an organized team setting, and thinking that, okay, these are not like the dudes on my block that, you know, we hang out every day. It's a whole different experience there.
Man, and that was back then that was a lot. I really suffered a lot of personal hurt from that, you know, definitely from like a few of those guys that were from my city, from back home, and saw me and treated me like that, you know, treated me like a great friend at home. But then when we got here, it was like every man for himself. And I'm like, damn, really? Like, that's what it is?
Right.
But again, that's just still the lack of experience with people, with the game, with the teams. I just, you know, it sounds almost like an excuse talking about it out loud, cause you know, but it's real.
Right.
It's real if you break it down like that.
Right.
It's really what it was, you know.
And then experiencing letdown after letdown. And I think guys, you know, always get this misconception that, you know, I go to college, I play good on the team, or I play decent on the team. Now my career is going to, you know, I'm going to go play pro, and not considering all of the bumps in the road there. And you had a few bumps in the road at Chico, and then, you know, even going into your pro career.
Ooh, that's when oh my God, the real world hit. I met my beautiful wife. I think it was you. And it got real. And I'll tell you, the first biggest letdown for me out once school was done and I was trying to get to the next level was I had a job. Just how talented I was, I had a job blindly through the word of another coach, just saying like, oh, we'll take him. You know him, he's this, he can do that. Okay, we're gonna give him $10,000 a month. It's gonna get $60,000 for my first job. And he said, what school did he go to? Oh man, he went to this school, he went to that school. He said, oh, okay, yeah, I got a friend at the other school. Okay, well, let's talk to him. So he hits him up, and bam, there it is. The money is gone. He tells him, oh yeah, he ain't it. You know, this guy, attitude, Oh man, you talking
hurt,
like crushed.
Yeah.
And of course, thinking about it after, thank God, because I wasn't ready for that.
Right.
I was not ready for that situation.
No.
I was not gonna do well there until I figured it out and understood.
Yeah, I don't even know if we would have even made it.
No way. No way.
Like, oh no.
Nah. So it was a blessing in disguise, but then there was a lot of disappointment into the people that I was dealing with at the time, because that was one thing about me though. I never lied about it. I never ran from it. I always accepted whatever it was. You know, it was, you know, it's almost like, you know, facing up when you're at the principal's office. Man, you know what you about to face. Ain't no getting around it. Yeah, it is what it is. That's what it was. But that's not who I am. So are you going to help me get over that hump?
Right.
Or are you going to leave me?
Are you going to look past that and see who I am as a person? Right.
I had a few that left me. You know, I had a few coaches or whoever you want to call them, like really like break my heart a little bit because again, I'm here. I'm still kind of on my own. I'm not I am on my own. And you look for those kind of adults or the people that put themselves in those positions to see past that and say, okay, I'm going to take a chance on this guy. Right. You know, I'm going to help this guy out. And, you know, again, I'm so thankful still that it didn't go the way that I would have wanted it to go at that time in my life.
Right. And then on top of that, too, you have those legitimate, you know, situations from solid people, but then they don't pan out because either they get scared or they don't want to take a chance. Yep. And then you got, you know, the people that, you know, prey on young guys with talent and hold them and up under their wing and just to say, oh yeah, you know, he rocking with me.
Him out. Yeah, he's on my team.
But really just wasting, you know, time. And I'm sure that was, you know, frustrating as well because again, here you're putting your trust into, you know, people and they're letting you down because they have their own motive, their own intentions. So I'm sure that added to, you know, some of, you know, your
blow-ups.
Your blow-ups.
And I'll add to that, another thing that I was used to was toxic. Being in an apartment with 14, 15 personalities, and I'm used to that. I can not thrive in it, but I won't die in it. Right. I know it. Okay. Right. So, you know, it's on me too that I put myself in those positions as well to be able to react in certain ways when I didn't have to because I didn't have to be there. Right. But I felt like that's where I needed to be to either get the look that I needed to be successful or whatever the sacrifice I felt like I was sacrificing, but really I was sacrificing my damn self at the same time.
And then when you're experiencing these things, you're not, you know, unpacking those emotions or walking through and like, man, why did this make me mad? Or, you know, why did I go through this? Or what decisions did I make that, you know, put me here? You're not really going through that. You're just in the moment, and then you got to just sweep it under the rug because you tough, you a man, you know.
Yeah, it's a lot of ego involved.
Unfortunately, and, you know, and that experience happens with a lot of guys.
It does. It does. I see it all the time. Yeah. I see it. I see some of the best basketball players, definitely where we're at in LA. I see some of the best basketball players, and you will ask that saying, well, why he ain't on? Well, why it could be some shit from the past that he don't know how to deal with. It could be right now in present moment he don't know how to deal with it. Right. And you know, it hurts me because I see those dudes and I know he's running in circles. I know that 2 years is gonna go by when he don't need those 2 years to go by. Right. You know, it is what it is. But I think for me, as far as once I had the stigma, I was like, you are who you are, and you had to roll with it. And at times it was like I was a self-starter anyway, a self-motivator to myself anyway, so sometimes that would just get me going if I got upset, you know, I blacked out to the point where I'm like, all right, it's on, it's time to get it, you know. It's time to, you know, again, off the floor was all good. Even chilling, it was always all good. So it wasn't, you know, even today, because it would affect me today and what I'm doing now if I didn't step in front of that. But secondly, I've always been a good dude. Right. I've always, you know, showed people love and respect. Right. And handle my shit, you know.
And then they, you know, they look at us and we've been together 12 years. And
man.
I'm sure the perception is just like, oh, poor girl.
Argentina,
right? Poor
Insane.
Girl.
Insane.
And, you know. Yeah. You know, you need to watch out more for me than I just need to.
I mean, just to keep it real, you making me cry, okay? Jesus. You know, but it's just I would laugh at that sometime and just you know, say whatever, you know, it's your loss in a way, you know, it is what it is. But you know, I still have a lot of great people that, you know, we kick it with, and I always kept a circle small anyway, just because again, I just not that it was
protective.
Protective of me, because anything go wrong with me, I'm responsible for me. You know, now I have a wife, I'm responsible for a household. You know, so it was tough you know, coming up as a young man trying to find your way in another city. I dare you to come into where I came from,
right,
and go and do what I ended up doing out here.
Right.
I always felt that I could not get over the hump in certain situations because of that. A lot of it was set for myself or the unknown. I always felt like nobody wants to help me, so I have to always get on my own. And then I think that, again, after basketball, that's helped me a lot. Because I was so used to it. Oh, well, I got to build my own table because, well, you know what? I'm not even going to give it a chance. I may not fit in with this group. Let me go and do that. So, I mean, it's actually helped me too, in a way. And it's helped me build what we have built together, because a lot of this, again, not all of it, but 90% of it has always been about my experience and what I wanted and what I know guys need, you know, and that's it. That's it.
So what is something that, you know, you want guys to kind of take away from, you know, your story? We kind of just, you know, scratch the surface of it, but, you know, the idea exposing your lack of experience, you kind of shorthanded yourself by your lack of experience, and then, you know, the other half of it is how people perceived you, is how, you know, it affected your career going forward. So what are some things that you can pass on to, you know, guys that may share a similar story?
Be more vulnerable to a few people that may be reaching to extend a hand to help you. I know that it was at least one or two people in that time period that really I felt might have been genuine, but I was too clouded to like accept it because it was just the trust thing. Nah, you might hurt me. I'm already hurt. I don't need any more hurt. I don't need any more disappointment. So no, thank you.
Right.
You know, so that's what I would give to the advice you give to guys is just be more vulnerable to the people who extended a helping hand for you, because you just never know what that person experience may do for you, you know, because I know I missed out on that at times. You know, it could have been a lot more people that could have done something in that direction that I wanted to go to. But I wouldn't open up enough to say, man, you know, this is bothering me right now. And I'm going through this right now. And, you know, I don't regret too many things though. You know, at the positive side of this, I persevered through all that shit. Yeah. All of it. The noise, the cloud, all of that. I persevered through it all. I feel and still believe that hard work will outlast everything. Talent, smarts, all that. I feel like if you just work your ass off and you work smart, but you work hard and you be consistent, that things will eventually turn around for you. And I know for sure that it turned around for me. And what I'm doing today has been a great example of not letting my past like hinder me, because I'm still able to rock with, you know, high level people and people who can, you know, make things move. And the only way you can do that is if you're a good person, you know. And again, I still stand on, I've always been good to people. And I think that's what has helped me today, you know, because I always try to just take care of people, you know.
10 toes down.
That's right. That's right. You know, I never lied to these dudes. It's pointless for me to lie to them and put something on that's not real, because eventually they're gonna find out. Somebody gonna be a sucker, or somebody gonna be a great, you know, person, you know, regardless. It's just his life. Yeah. So and it ain't me anyway, right? So, you know, just being able to just keep it real and keep it transparent with them, I think what made them like attract to me more and want to hear more and want to learn more, you know, because again, I had a lot to give as far as my experiences, mistakes, my triumphs, whatever. So I think that's just what makes it that much better.
Right on, man. Right on.
You got it.
I appreciate you, you know, sharing that.
Yeah, for sure. Me too.
If you guys enjoyed this episode, please give us a thumbs up. Yes, like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at great_gain_athletics. And also you can listen to the audio version of this on anchor.fm, the Players Forum.
Hit that notification bell.
Yes, on YouTube. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next episode. Peace. This podcast series is part of the Great Gain Athletics, Inc. organization and is brought to you in part by the creative producers at the Sultry Group. There's an art to connecting souls. Digital media content creation for the arts and souls.